Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Jennifer Erickson with the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at the University of Missouri. We are here for elevating consciousness using ancient scientific tools to achieve happiness. What a great way to start the semester on a Monday morning, or if you're here from India on a Monday evening. Dr. Chockalingam is a professor of medicine at the University of Missouri, based in Columbia, where the Osher program is since 2006. His major interest is stress cardiomyopathy, mental stress, and holistic interventions, and he's produced over 65 publications. He has pioneered 8-week Heartful Living cardiac wellness group clinics, both in the United States and India, based on self-inquiry. Since 2015, hundreds of patients have effortlessly lost weight and overcome heart disease while really enjoying life. His methods help doctors increase resilience and avoid burnout. This series is based on mindfulness methods developed with the Whole Health Initiative at the Harry S. Truman Veterans Hospital. With that, I would love to turn this over to Dr. Chockalingam. Dr. Chockalingam. You are muted, Dr. Chockalingam. Let's see. Unmute. Dr. Chockalingam, are you able to unmute yourself? There you are. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. Hi, Peyton. Thanks for organizing this through Osher. So I was telling Jennifer just a few minutes ago, it's been 25 years in the making, today's discussions. So why did I wait 25 years to talk about happiness? It's because it's so difficult to talk about. That's the reason. But I'm so glad you're all here, and we're going to hopefully have a good time in the next hour and a half. The actual talk itself is probably only 30 or 25 minutes long. So the rest of the time, I'm hoping we'll have an interactive session. So first, we wanted to introduce what we are trying to cover here. Why am I interested in consciousness? So let me start off with who I am. I grew up in India, Chennai. My name is Anand Chockalingam. My parents are joining us today. My dad is a cardiologist, Dr. V. Chockalingam. He's still very actively practicing in Chennai. My mother, she's also here in today's meeting. She's a pathologist. She's retired now, and she's helped with a lot of this programming. And throughout my life, they've both been an inspiration. And one other person who's specifically, I'm hoping will join today, is my 11-year-old daughter. I don't see her here yet, but hopefully she'll come in. The reason I think it's going to be challenging to engage an 11-year-old is because they are living at a much, much faster pace than our generation is used to. So I invited her to come in and give us some feedback from the future. The reason I do this discussion on consciousness, happiness, how to connect at a deeper level with ourselves, primarily is because I feel we are, as human beings, not finding it that easy to connect, first of all, with the true source of life and happiness. We are too distracted by too many challenges or distractions or noises that limit our ability to connect at a deeper level. As a cardiologist, it becomes so important to me because trying to give some medicines or procedures, it works, but it will work so much better if we are able to connect with ourselves deeper. So for instance, if a person at 60 needs 6 medicines to take care of the heart, if they're able to connect a little deeper, find that confidence, optimism within themselves, then instead of 6 medicines, they will do fine with just 2 or 3. The difference of reducing medicines we are talking about is so enormous, in the sense they gain that confidence, they feel that that they are responsible or in control of their lives. And moving forward, it makes compliance so much better. The need for further procedures and interventions and rehospitalizations comes down so significantly. And this is the way that I feel as doctors, we can participate not only in their specific health condition, but in the lives of our community. So then you may ask, why am I not talking about this only to my heart patients? How come we talk about it to the general people? I feel after working for the last 15, 20 years with cardiac patients, that I might actually impact their children and grandchildren more than my cardiac patients. Just because my patients are oftentimes in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and their children and grandchildren who are just starting out with life, they have a much more longer time span to optimize their perspective towards life and their health at the same time. So this is a quick, short few minutes of what I try to represent. And in this next 4 weeks, what we're going to talk about, again, I'll try to keep the actual discussion to about 30 minutes. We'll try to practice some actual mindfulness methods, and we'll have plenty of time, hopefully, for interactions. So this is how we have designed. So first, few minutes of open discussion. But first, today, Jennifer thought we'll keep everybody muted so that there is not too much noise or distractions. But the entire 4-week series is going to be, for the most part, open interactions, except if there is too much distracting sound when Jennifer will have to pitch in. So that's how we are.
Yeah. And Dr. Chakalingam, we had a couple people say that they can't hear you well. I can hear you just fine. And I did send a note saying maybe you should adjust your own volume. I think you're coming across fine. Is everyone else hearing him fine? I'm seeing lots of thumbs up. Okay, so we can hear you. If you're not hearing him well, it may be your own adjustment. And sometimes that's hard to figure out. And Sandy, are you saying you can't hear? Okay, she's saying maybe she can't hear. I don't seem to have an issue with it. So yeah, we have some. So please try to adjust it on your own Zooms, and I will turn this back over to Dr. Chakalingam. Oh, Bob Hibbs says that he can't hear Dr. Chakalingam as well as he can hear me. So Dr. Chakalingam, you might speak more clearly into your microphone, and maybe next time we can get a headset, but we'll work with it.
Does this sound any better when I hold this in my hand?
Yes, that might be a little much, but anyway, thank you. Yes, yes.
Should I just hold it then?
I suppose so, yes.
Okay, if people like it, that's what we will do. See, I don't have as nice a voice as Jennifer, but we still want to hear Anand too. Sometimes once we start the slideshow, after 20 minutes, people say, oh, we didn't see any slides at all. So that's some setting in your device that sometimes you'll have to make sure. Right now, for the next 15 minutes, we are hopefully not going to show any slides or any presentations. So any quick questions, any thoughts from people, any comments that I haven't yet looked at?
And again, please use the chat function if you do have any questions or comments. Thanks, everyone.
There are no questions or comments in the chat right now, but like Jennifer said, feel free to add them at any point during this Zoom meeting.
So now I'm going to again request Jennifer to come on and ask me a few questions or whatever you thought we needed to discuss. Did we cover what you were hoping to cover, Jennifer, to set the ground for our series?
Yes, I thought I asked Dr. Chakalingam to talk a little bit about himself and his motivation. I thought that would be a good place to start. And again, this is building a bridge between our Mid-Missouri in the United States lifelong learning program and friends and colleagues around the world, mostly in India. So thank you for giving your introduction. And yes, please, if there are any questions, let him know. And I think you have a couple comments, but yeah, I think great. Thank you.
Yes, we have a couple comments in the chat now. Someone said, I appreciate you making the connection between our mental attitudes and our heart health. And then we have a question that says, why did you say 25 years in the making for this talk?
So the reason for that is I felt somewhat different from my medical school classmates or early colleagues when I was in residency, in the sense people around me would generally find it so challenging, whereas for me, the day would seem much easier. So I thought it is just a mental aberration. I'll get used to life. But till today, I haven't gotten used to the type of challenges that most people are facing. So in a way, this is a type of disclaimer that in reality, I feel we are all living in our own realities. There is no single world. If you look at, for instance, a lion or a tiger or a whale in the ocean, most whales would see the ocean as similar. But human consciousness has evolved to such a level that we live in the real world, but equally or even more, we live in the world that we choose to create for ourselves. So probably for 25 years or even longer, the world I choose for myself has been really fun. So my way of giving back to our community has been this Heartful Living clinics at the VA. So I want to thank the VA system for not only allowing me to develop a totally novel program in 2015 and refine it, but they also made it a group clinic, in the sense veterans could get travel pay to come and listen to me at lunch hour on Fridays from 12 to 1, discussing what happiness is, what life is, what health can be towards our own self, how we can improve it. So these sort of things we've been formally discussing as a group clinic for the last 5 years. So this question of how to communicate happiness started 25 years ago. And we actually developed a full series, which is 8 hours long, and we've recorded it. It can be made available to you anytime. It was recorded several times in 2020 and 2021. And again, thanks to Jennifer, we did it along with VA and MU OSHA programming in January and February of 2021, this Heartful Living. So this Heartful Living is actually a synergy between cardiac health and holistic wellness. And the word holistic wellness to me means, are we really happy? Because it comes down to that. If we can connect and find happiness in our day-to-day living, health will follow very automatically. So I hope I answered why I took 25 years, because I don't think we can talk about happiness in a world where everybody is facing their own set of challenges. Today, for instance, in the United States, COVID is not that big a concern as it was a few months ago. But in India, so many lives have been lost within the last few weeks. Still, there is so much struggle to get enough oxygen to save lives. So this discussion becomes sort of theoretical. And that is why we want to give everybody a chance to connect with this program and ask these very simple but direct questions. I'm so glad someone asked that question. So yeah, any other suggestions, questions? I don't know if my 11-year-old came on board yet, but my niece at Brown University is here. So these kids, I've seen them start their life, grow up, and become inspirations for us. So in case Kavya wants to say anything, I don't know if we have an opportunity to unmute her. Kavya Gopinath. I think she is the youngest person in our session. That's why I've asked her to come and say hi to us. She does amazing debate work in US, kind of talking about major world issues. Why don't you introduce yourself briefly, Kavya, and tell us what you honestly hope to gain from being with us the next few sessions.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, my name is Kavya. I'm a student. I'm a rising senior at Brown. Yeah, well, I really just wanted to come and see what my uncle has been doing. I was really excited. I also think at Brown and like with my friends, mental health is a really huge discussion here. And it's something we talk about a lot. It's something that like a lot of people I know have struggled with and are struggling with. And I think it's really interesting and cool to like hear about and learn different perspectives on how to cope with mental health and how to improve mental health in like small, meaningful ways in your life, not just like, like the big things like going to therapy or like taking medication. Like I think simple steps are important as well. So I was really excited to hear more about that.
Thanks so much, Kavya, for joining us. Anything else, Jennifer? Shall we go ahead and get started? Peyton?
I think we're good to get started. Would you like me to share the video?
Yeah, let's start off with that video.
Okay, great.
Today morning, my uncle forwarded this video to me. I think it was released on Zee TV, Indian TV channel, only in the last day or so, and it's already got close to 200,000 views. Why don't we listen to it and then move forward?
All right, perfect. Let me change a couple settings really quick. New sound. All right, and
Gravitas Plus, I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, and I have a question for you tonight. What is the one thing that all 7.9 billion people in the world are chasing? The one thing that you want in life? Happiness. We all crave it. There was a time when it was a spiritual experience. Today, happiness is an industry worth over $4.2 trillion. Everyone is selling it. Let me show you. In the last 3 years alone, 3.4 million people have enrolled themselves for a Coursera course on happiness. A course on happiness. There are 151 million Instagram posts with hashtag happiness. 1 million with hashtag happiness is a choice. Our fairy tales promise a happily ever after. There is merchandise selling happiness in big, bold letters. Notebook covers remind you to choose happiness. Honestly, who wouldn't like to? But what exactly is happiness and where do we find it? Hindu scriptures say humans can only temporarily secure happiness on earth. This is by pursuing the Purusharthas, or the 4 chief purposes of human life, which are dharma, or religious and moral duty, arth, wealth, kam, conjugal bliss, and moksha, liberation. Permanent happiness, according to Hinduism, is only in the highest heaven. And for that, we must obtain liberation. Islam says happiness is a lifelong process. It includes peace of mind, tranquility of heart, contentment in the world, and everlasting bliss hereafter. The followers of Moses deem happiness as the ultimate goal of man. They say the pursuit of happiness is a moral duty. Pursuit of happiness, by the way, is also enshrined in the US Declaration of Independence. Today, at least 200 universities, including the University of Cambridge, have research institutes dedicated to studying happiness. And yet, happiness remains one of the least understood and subjective terms. A good cup of coffee is happiness. A bout of good weather is happiness. An evening well spent is happiness. A good movie is happiness. The end of lockdown is happiness. It's actually that simple and attainable, and yet it's complicated and seemingly hard to get. So much so that we need books, videos, and podcasts to help us find happiness. Finland is the world's happiest country. People there spend more time in the nature. The Finns love swimming, reading, and eating well. One publication asked people from 17 countries what happiness is to them. A 22-year-old from Greece said happiness is finishing school, getting a stable job, and then getting to retire, be free of work, stress, and health issues. A 20-year-old from Germany said happiness is contentment. A 19-year-old from Iraq said happiness is survival. A 30-year-old from India said happiness is peace and satisfaction. A 16-year-old from the Philippines said happiness is laughter through the toughest of times. You see, happiness is subjective. So is its definition. Mandarin has at least 4 words for happy: Gao Xing, Kai Xin, Xing Fu, and Kuai Lei. In Japan, happiness is linked to the ideas of good luck and social harmony. In the United States, happiness is linked to freedom and personal achievement. But in China, there is a certain aversion to happiness too. It is believed that relentless pursuit of happiness or too much happiness can bring unhappiness. How do you tell if happiness is too much? Can we measure it? We can't. But very often, we pit our levels of happiness against others. We use comparison to measure happiness. But that's not how research works. Scientists working on happiness have developed scales to measure it. The Steen Happiness Index, for example, it includes 20 items. We are expected to read them and select the ones that describe us best. There is the Subjective Happiness Scale, the Happiness Scale by Fordyce, or what is known as the Emotion Questionnaire.
A lot of people that have cats are unknowingly doing something that is shortening their pet's life. I've been a veterinarian for 45 years.
And speaking of questionnaires, I have one. Who is responsible for ensuring that we are happy? Is happiness a personal choice, or do governments have a role to play in inducing it? Let's try and answer these. How do we make ourselves happy? I could list out things like hone your hobbies, spend time doing what you love, etc., but you know all of this already. So instead, I will address a myth. A lot of us think that money and travel equals to happiness. Well, we may be wrong. Science says that while we can buy happiness, that happiness is hedonic. Money becomes a big factor in long-term happiness only if you're struggling to make ends meet. And then you happen to come into money. Otherwise, money has very little to do with sustainable happiness. Costa Rica makes for a very interesting case study here. It is far from rich. In fact, if you look at the per capita wealth, Costa Rica has just 1/5 of the wealth of America. Yet it ranks above the US in the latest edition of the Global Happiness Index. It did so the year before too. Costa Rica shows us that government policy can play a big role in inducing happiness. In 1948, the then Costa Rican president, Jose Figueres Ferrer, abolished the military. That money was diverted to health and education sectors. Today, Costa Rica spends nearly 8% of its GDP on education. The country's top university is funded by the government. Costa Rica is the world's 16th happiest country. The world's happiest country, Finland, was named the world's most literate nation in 2016. Clearly, education can and does play a role in happiness, as do government policies. These are the happiest countries in the world. In many of them, you see, well-being takes a clear policy precedence. New Zealand is number 9 on the list. In 2019, New Zealand released its first ever well-being budget. The idea was to spend on health and well-being of citizens and not concentrate on wealth and economic growth alone. Then there's Canada, 14th on the list. It has one of the most progressive indicators on national well-being. The UK is 17th on the list. 11 years ago, it developed a national well-being program. Nordic countries always feature in the top 10. What do they all have in common? Life satisfaction, social support, freedom to make life choices, and lack of corruption. We cannot talk about happiness and leave out Bhutan. In 1972, King Jigme Singye Wangchuk declared that gross national happiness is more important than gross national product. Till date, Bhutan closely monitors its citizens' happiness as its most precious commodity. Every 5 years, survey takers fan out across the country. 300 questions are asked to some 8,000 randomly selected households. The participants are then compensated for their time with a day's wage. Such progressive and impressive policies. Where is India in the World Happiness Report? It ranks 139 out of 149, way behind Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, Mali, Zambia. This is enough reason for some serious rethinking. You see, it is the duty of the government to ensure well-being of the people and not just create wealth. So what must governments do? Let's turn to the World Happiness Report again. It says there are 6 key ingredients for national happiness: income, life expectancy, social support, freedom, trust, and generosity. You may ask, why must countries facilitate the pursuit of happiness? And I will tell you why. Happiness is closely linked to the well-being of a society. Asocial people, even terrorists, are often traced back to unhappy and disturbed families. A happy worker is a better worker, also 13% more productive. It is no wonder that countries today have ministries dedicated to happiness, loneliness. The Danish government roped in the Happiness Research Institute to improve the quality of people's life, as did the United Arab Emirates and the city of Goyang in South Korea. What's stopping other governments from following suit? Prioritize happiness. Prioritize positivity. It may be a negative word today, but we will be happier embracing the word in the long run. We will also be happier if we cleared a couple of misconceptions. Science says it is not possible for people to be constantly happy. It is only normal to feel sad or angry. It is also unhealthy to seek a happily ever after. Our lives are filled with a whole range of emotions. We wouldn't grow unless we experienced all of them. Happiness is one of the strongest emotions, and it is easier to find than we think. Happiness is finding an answer you have been long looking for. Happiness is perfecting a yoga pose, finding the perfect pair of shoes, a mother's hug, a good song on the radio. Happiness is learning a new language, watching your team win a match. Happiness is finding an old notebook or an age-old photo. Happiness is finishing a lap in record time, a job offer, reaching the last page of a book you've been trying to finish. Happiness is personal. Happiness is unique, and it is out there for everyone.
Dr. Chakalingam, you are muted.
That was good, wasn't it? Shall we go ahead and get started with sharing some slides?
Yes, sounds good. We have a couple comments in the chats of saying beautiful video with an excellent message. And I liked that video, a good presentation.
I thoroughly enjoyed viewing it. It's so comprehensive and gives a good perspective for us to get going. So how do I share my screen? Does Jennifer need to pitch in for that?
Let me see, Dr. Chakalingam.
So now
I'm not seeing make him a co-host. It's very odd. Peyton, are you seeing make him a co-host?
Yes, I am. I can. Oh, it looks like I'm the host. Okay.
Okay,
yes,
that's why. Yeah, if you could take care of that, that'd be great. Thank you.
yes.
All right, there you go. And we can see your perfect. That looks good.
So now let's everyone get ready to answer. This is the subjective happiness scale. So you do see in front of you 2 questions, and you can choose one of 7 choices. In general, I consider myself not a very happy person. A very happy person is 7. Not a very happy person is 1. So for in your mind, you choose a number between 1 and 7, and then look at the next question. Compared to most of my peers, I consider myself less happy or more happy. So again, for both these, consider a number, average that number in your mind, and then if you can put it in the comment box, we can all just look at what numbers we are getting for the whole group. We are seeing a lot of 4s and 5s, 6s, 7s. Excellent. 7s for some people, great. So we'll go ahead and the average, can you again see the full screen?
Yes, looks great. Thank you.
Super. So they say the average is about 4.5 for most people, if you do the entire 4-question scale. And I've shown you half the scale here. The other half, Jennifer is placed it in the online Osher at Mizzou website. maybe we can email it to you also for you to answer the like 4 surveys. And this is one of the surveys, happiness. The other one is depression. The other one is anxiety. And the last one is optimism. So for these 4 questions or 4 metrics, we have brief surveys, which should only take you like a couple of minutes. My invitation to you is to answer all these 4 surveys in about 2 to 5 minutes today. And then at the end of 4 weeks, when we are done with our series, I'd like you to again answer the same 4 series. My hope.
Chakalingam, I will put those on that documents page that I showed everyone how to get to, and we will email everyone about that. Okay.
That will be great. That email
Okay.
has the same 4 surveys twice. So if you print it out for yourself, you can sort of circle now and at the end of 4 weeks. And if you can email it back to us, we can actually use it as research and publish it for our own understanding and to elevate more people's awareness about how these simple online interventions may make a difference in people's lives, because the science is so important. What we talk about, how we can make a big difference or a small difference or whatever we can do in the big picture. But all of this will be anonymous. None of it we will reveal your names or any identifiers to anybody. So this is totally protected information. So we'll go ahead and get started. Consciousness, defining the fundamentals. So that is the hope for today. And we want to recognize ancient scientific tools to actually achieve happiness. These tools are more than 5,000 years old. So in these next 4 series, we're going to talk about understanding the definition of consciousness. Next Monday, we are going to talk on June 14th about the difference between us and other life forms, what really makes us human. And the third session is about elevating consciousness using our Heartful Living tools. And that's what we've done now for 5 years, particularly for heart patients and their families. And June 28th, the last session, is the interaction between us and our future competition, we can say, artificial intelligence. So my disclosure is highlifejourney.org. Many of the engineers and people involved in developing this website have been invited to join us from Coimbatore. My friend Tyaga, I've known him now for 25 years. He has helped us support and build this website as a tool, which is like a free educational tool like Khan Academy, where anybody can sign in and view all these discussions. And hopefully, after we finish this June series, these 4 sessions will also be in there. Like that.
Dr. Chakalingam, will you pick up your microphone again, please?
Yes. Thanks for reminding. So this www.highlifejourney.org is our sort of free online self-help tool to help anybody gain better cardiac health. Not only that, holistic wellness also. And all that we are recording in the Zoom sessions through Osher and also through the VA, all of it we are placing in the website for anybody to view at no cost at all. Seeking Hunger is a small book that we wrote to inspire not only cardiac patients, school and college students who are totally healthy also, to recognize a deeper relationship with eating and connecting with hunger itself. I'm an advisor for my sister's program on cardiac wellness, which she has been doing for 7 years in Chennai. So these are my disclosures. I want you to be looking at this information. Post-traumatic stress disorder in veterans currently is at 13%. Compared to civilian women, it is nearly double the number. Men have 7%, and this is again double the US numbers. So veterans have more PTSD. What about depression? This is at 12% overall, but women have close to 15% depression. Again, this is before the COVID struck. So now these numbers are going to be much higher. Obesity, if you look at, is about 44% in women, 41% in men. But if you look at anybody with a BMI more than 25, which is weight is a concern in my life. 75% of women are going to face that. Nearly 80% of men in the US are now already facing it. For people from India, the numbers are more or less similar if you are from some of the bigger cities, which places it at alarming high numbers. India is still developing. There is so much poverty, and you will think of India, the image in many of the Western minds is thin, hardworking people. But in the cities where people are not physically engaged, and they are also spending as much time on the computer and the work is more on the desk, we are seeing as much obesity as we are currently seeing in the Western world. This is another look at what we are seeing in the VA system. The biggest challenge you see up here in the top is circulatory disease, heart attack, heart failure. The biggest comorbidity, or the second biggest problem that cardiac patients are facing, is mental disease, mental health disorders. So when these two combine, it becomes such a huge challenge for my 60-year-old, 70-year-old heart patient. Then comes endocrine problems, musculoskeletal cancers, respiratory disorders, other things. You don't see obesity anywhere here. The reason is obesity is not considered as an illness. It is still considered just something that it's so ubiquitous. But we believe that we need to pay more attention to the challenge of excess weight. In 30s and 40s, it may be not causing trouble, but by the time they come to us as heart patients in their 60s, it is contributing dramatically to their ability to recover from their problems and get better. And this is the statistic. Nearly half the veteran budget goes towards taking care of the sickest 5% of the veterans. And these are the biggest complications that they are coping with: heart disease and mental health issues. So this is our Heartful Living program in one slide. If you attend 8 hours, this is what you're going to recognize. How by eating or not eating for 14 hours at night, we will be healthier. Say from 7 p.m. when you finish dinner until 9 a.m., if nothing goes into your mouth, you'll be doing yourself a huge favor. Once or twice a month, if you can go for even longer, 18, 20, 24 hours without food, that has so much more benefit, not only from cancer risk, heart attack risk, even dementia risk goes down 70, 80% over the long term. So 14 hours every night for everybody, even 10 and 11-year-olds can do that. And 24 hours once or twice a month, maybe even once a week can be considered. But again, be careful if you are type 1 diabetic, or if you have brittle sugar control issues or eating disorders or liver issues. But otherwise, most people can try these 14 hours. And then we encourage people to connect at a deeper level with gratitude itself. We're going to talk some more about this today. Exercise with awareness. So all these things we don't have too much time to go into today, but the simple way for me to invite you into this is whatever exercise you do, I'm hoping you're getting 20 to 30 minutes of exercise every day. Try to do it at half your weight. If you're 60 kilograms or 120 pounds, think you're only half that weight, 30 kilograms or 60 pounds, and then do the same exercise. To even give that suggestion of half your weight takes a lot of deeper mind-body connections. That is what we are inviting you to do. This self-talk is from sports psychology, where talk to yourself, hopefully something positive for 1 minute, 2 minutes. Listen to what you're saying. Be aware of who's talking to who, and then spend the next 5 minutes silently. So basically 5 to 7 minutes altogether. We are encouraging you to try this every day if you can. And the last thing is altruism, compassion experience. So we are writing a grant to study this in high school children, where we are seeing more stress, so that we want to impact them so that throughout life they will have better opportunity to view their life in better light. So this altruism means not 5 minutes, just 1 minute every day, where you deliberately do something kind. And the challenge is, do it for someone you don't even know, so they cannot even come back to thank you. So that directly leads to deeper compassion and experiencing life in better light. So that is what this altruism compassion is. How did people ask, what are you suggesting for veteran who has so many comorbidities and they are not able to get around? if they are on a wheelchair after a stroke and a heart attack, how can they practice altruism? All that we request them to do is come to the VA once a week, wear the red jacket that we give them, and volunteer in the cafeteria or in some central office or somewhere where they can register and guide others coming through the VA hospital. So doing just that volunteering once or twice a week gives them so much more confidence and meaning in life. So this simple things that I'm showing here is, I would say, the core of our Heartful Living series. So we'll ask this question. I don't know if Jennifer can get people to answer it. Major civilizations should leave behind great wonders. How many of us feel yes? If it is a truly major civilization, if there is no physical structure left behind, then it probably wasn't that great a civilization. How many of us feel true to this and say, oh, no, you don't need to leave behind anything major? Is it possible to answer it? Should I come off the full screen or?
If anybody wants, they can type it in the chat. We have one true, and everyone else feel free. Oh, people are coming in with their answers.
So many are saying we are probably at about 50-50. We'll keep going ahead with the slides. So this is a timeline. Now you can see me full screen again. The slides.
Can't see your slides right now, Dr. Tuckelingham. You need to do the share screen button, the green one at the bottom. And then there's a second button to share your screen.
Now do you see it again, full screen?
Not full. Yes, yes, yep, we see it.
So these are some of the most well-recognized civilizations. If you go back 800 years, you will see the Roman, before that the Greek civilization, and ancient China dates back 2000 years. India has close to 3000 years ago history, and this is the Egyptian civilization. So we know what the Egyptians left us behind, right? The pharaohs thought they were gods and made the people believe that. And this is what they thought they needed to do for themselves. Build huge pyramids as a lifetime endeavor, so that they'll have things including ship to sail after their death to the afterlife. So this is what their elaborate lifetime achievement was. The reason I show that is, now this question we've already addressed in a 10-minute video. For our success and positive impact on the world is why we need to elevate consciousness, according to this nice discussion that I just came across. And they are saying, awaken, become more aware of what is going on inside you, inside others, and in the world around you. Live mindfully. Consciously pay attention to your thoughts and feelings. Set intention. Choose who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world, and act consciously. Have a positive impact. Be the best for the world rather than the best in the world. So this is what this gist of this video was. And this is the happiness scale of our world. The entire world put together is at 5.38 before the COVID pandemic struck. So now I'm guessing it's a little lower. And how do we get it not to 6.6? My intention today is to take you in the next 4 weeks to that confidence level where instead of 5, we will say for ourselves, we are at least a 10 out of 10. So that is what is the real ambition that I have for this 4 weeks. So what is consciousness? Consciousness is the state of being awake and aware of one's own surroundings. So this is what is the general recognized definition. So if you look at this definition, the pharaohs were very conscious, right? They felt they were entitled to build for themselves what they did. And today we find this very amusing when we go touring in Egypt. Tourism is the #1 industry in Egypt. But still, my question to you was, should big civilizations leave behind things like pyramids? In South India, where I grew up, around the same time that the pyramid was built 5,000 years ago, Siddhars are the Indian medical science from Tamil Nadu. They did not leave behind huge structures like the pyramids, but they left behind their thoughts in written texts that are now translated in Google. One of it is Tolkappiyam, that is the oldest that we now know of. And Tirukkural is only 2000 years old. That's considered some of the more recent works. But these thoughts that they left behind are so lofty and they are so simple. And that is what we are going to touch upon in the next 4 weeks. Not about building more ships after our death to go in and travel, but to connect with life when we are alive in this world. That is what the Siddhars have taught us. So when you ask me about consciousness, as a doctor, we are focused on whether we are oriented ×3, which means oriented in name, place, and person. Is consciousness our IQ or our emotional quotient? Or is it in any written philosophy or doctrine? I don't think consciousness is contained in any of these things. Self-inquiry may give us a real window into consciousness. The word self-inquiry means asking the question, who am I? What is life about? So this question of who am I believe gives us better chance. And then why do we use this self-inquiry? To understand happiness and to understand how alive we are today. That is what is a personal experience. And this happiness can be daily fun, it can be relationship at work, and fulfillment or meaning in life itself. Being alive is the energy, enthusiasm, or zest for life. So that is what we are talking about as self-inquiry. So our definition of consciousness is experiencing life itself. The entire experience is consciousness. I want you to think about this a little deeper. I'm saying everything alive, all the animals are 100% awake and conscious to their capacity. Whereas we humans are distracted by too many thoughts and we are only 10% awake. That is what I personally believe. So how are we going to get to 100%? What is keeping us much below our full potential? I believe the reason is our full potential is way higher than that of any other life form. So that is what we need to recognize. It is not like we are falling short. It is just that we can rise much higher. That is the way I look at it. So we are in a way what we eat, at least for the body. We are what we do as far as the thoughts that we are willing to put ourselves through the day. And we are what we think ourselves to be in spirit. The mind needs a mirror to see it. The body is so important component of our experience of life. So this is something I feel in the last few decades we have lost touch with because of mechanization and more jobs moving into the urban setting where we are mostly in the desk. We are not actually physically engaged in life itself. So, but my request to you is to remember that the body is still very much a part of us. And if we want to elevate our experience of life or consciousness, we need to directly involve our body in whatever form or fashion that we physically can. And we find ourselves in our dreams, hopes, efforts, and actions. So that is where we actually see ourselves. The subconscious needs finding. So the conscious mind, we are aware of it, but at a deeper level, some of the experiences we are not able to access directly. This inner heart or the I heart is what I feel is the core of our being, the seat of all experience, and the final arbitrator of all our success, our lives, and the time we have on this earth. Some of the big names like Swami Vivekananda, he and several other people, there is a Tamil saint, not a saint, a poet by name Bharadiyar. These are some people who left behind so much, but they died in their 30s and 40s. So what I want to say is life is not in the number of years, but in the amount of experience that we can gather in the time that we have. This mind identity, I believe, is the source of a significant amount of stress and illness, physical illness too, including heart attacks. So what is this mind identity? We'll come back to these things over the next few weeks again. We can choose several high life tools that enable us to experience and live at a deeper level. So this is what I want you to leave with today. So how many of us now say that swimming, whether say it's, if you know swimming, look at this for somebody else, like your child or grandchild. If they come to you asking how to swim, I'm saying swimming can be learned on land by showing some pictures or some videos and some instructions. The process of learning swimming can be done on land without having to need water to actually get into it. How many people believe swimming can be learned on land itself? True or false? Yeah, I knew I'm going to get a lot of falses. Anybody saying true will have to unmute yourself and explain how.
Let me change the settings, Dr. Chakalingam, so that people may unmute themselves if they would like. One moment. Okay, I believe I've changed it so that if people would like to unmute themselves, they may choose to do so.
Anybody wishes to say how swimming can be taught on land without having to get into the water at all?
I would say that I think you can learn the concepts of swimming on land, although I think there's the component of practice and putting something into practice. I don't know. You cannot learn that on land.
Yes. Any other people saying, yes, I can learn swimming on land?
Well, I basically feel the same way as the last guest, and that is that the teaching can be done on land. The learning has to be done in the water.
Beautiful. So the learning is what I put there. The teaching I have not deliberately discussed. So I personally believe swimming is something you just need to be in there, try it. And then whatever others are guiding, giving you theories that will help. But the experience is difficult to reproduce without being inside the water. Like that, consciousness cannot be taught by Anand or by any a simple tool or videos. It has to be experienced by us on our own terms, within our own minds, and we can elevate it directly. So this, I believe, is the invitation. So we can still see the full slide again, I hope, Jennifer?
Yes, it looks good. Thank you.
How many of us now say, I try to understand myself better as a way of becoming happier? How many of us have tried this? I'm curious to see this. So I'm going to again come off this and try to see. I try to understand myself better as a way of becoming happier. A lot of people are trying to do this, it looks like. Yes, yes, excellent. So I really believe that that is the essence of self-inquiry. I guess we've self-selected our group here today because people here come thinking, yes, I want to do better in my life. So I'm glad everybody here feels yes to that question. I'm back on slides.
Yes, you are.
So I wanted to take you through a few quick quotes on happiness, or this is about gratitude, you could say. Looking behind, I am filled with gratitude. Looking forward, I am filled with vision. Looking upward, I am filled with strength. Looking within, I discover peace. This is an Indian quote. And Islam says, all praise is for God. This signifies gratitude in our everyday lives. Hinduism says, whatever I am offered in devotion with a pure heart, it may be a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I accept with joy. And Christianity says, sing and make music from your heart to the Lord, always giving thanks to God the Father for everything in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Philosopher Plato said, a grateful mind is a great mind which eventually attracts to itself great things. And when asked, Buddha said, there is no path to happiness. Happiness itself is the path. So this is what I want you to start our series with, recognizing that there may be 1,000 questions, some of which we will answer in the next 4 weeks, several of which there may never be answers. But start with happiness and we will land in the right spot for most of the situations in life. So this we have done now for 10 years, requesting our heart patients to smile 20 times every waking hour, despite or with whatever health issues or stress or mental challenges that they are going through in life. This is what our simple invitation is. On average, people smile about 2 times. So I'm asking people to do 10 times more. But then if you compare this with children, children are doing 30 to 40 smiles every hour just by being children. So I'm again asking only half of what we did when we were children. So we can find this gratitude that will allow us to smile this many times by being grateful for so many things in our lives, whatever we choose to be happy towards. I'm going to now take a quick time for people to unmute yourselves and share with us some deep, life-changing or lasting thing that happened in your life that you're even today grateful for. Let's invite anyone to unmute yourself. Take a moment to experience it before you even talk about it.
Dr.
Feel that again.
Chockalingam, do you want to stop your screen share?
Sure. So for the first 1 minute, please, none of us will talk. 1 minute, we'll all try to connect with that gratitude. And then if 2, 3 people want to take a few seconds to tell us your story, we are so happy to hear it. And if you don't wish to share with us, that's perfectly fine too. But for the first 1 minute, let us just stay in silence, thinking about something that we are grateful for. If someone wishes to share with us, you're most welcome. Something that you're so grateful for that it has changed your life.
I will share. I went through soul-crushing grief after losing a wife that I was married to for 36 years. Totally crushed my soul. I was happy and vibrant and up to that point, and went through awful grief. And then I met this intelligent with me now, and she transformed my life.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm so happy for both of you.
That I am very. Thank you.
Nancy and Rana, I'm afraid your connection is not great. I'm so sorry. I can tell that you were sharing something very beautiful, but we heard a little bit about that. So I think we get the sense of it, just FYI.
Anand, I would like to speak. What made a lot of difference was I felt to be happy was actually within my own control. I could just think about all the things that were going wrong in my life and feel miserable. But it is from within yourself that you have to feel happy. Even very small things that we have, there are a lot of people who don't have that. So to be able to recognize that you have to, take happiness by yourself. It's not something that's given to you, it's from within you. As you say, very small things. So it begins with that, feel happy about small things. And finally, you'll find that you are a very happy person with just what life has thrown at you. It's just been a lesson for me to keep
Beautiful.
myself happy.
Thanks for
Hello.
sharing.
Dr. Anand, good evening. See, you asked your gratitude. I think in India, particularly in this corona situation, I think we are grateful to many things. Like, I feel so grateful that I have a roof. I think I feel grateful that I have the financial, financial independence and to support myself and my family. I feel happy about good health, right? I mean, every small thing, even a small help which you could go to your neighbor who was infected with corona, I think that gives you, gratitude and happiness. I mean, everything around you, every small thing is what in the last 1 year we've seen that you have to be grateful for every second of your life, and everything that happens in your life is what I've understood.
Beautiful.
Anand, I am Dr. Chokkalingam. Good evening, my dears. I am Anand's father, Professor Chokkalingam. There is only two things, happiness and happiness.
Yeah, you didn't put
But
anything.
human being only given the chance to choose, you choose happiness. If you don't, you become unhappy. What I personally feel, be happy without anything. Then you'll be happy with everything. For that, you must have peace of mind at all the time. It's the one we have to choose. So every time you must make the mind, please choose happiness and be happy without anything, then everything will give you happiness. You are going to get attachment for something that gives you happiness. The moment if you lose that one, you will become unhappy. So being happy is a human being's character one must develop. The chance to choose. I appreciate, Anand, how much effort you are giving your life to make everyone's lives happy. I really appreciate. Thanks a lot.
So nice that you could join us from India.
I think that circumstances sometimes throw us a big curve. I was happy, and then I was a widow. And a year and a half after that, I went to Sedona, Arizona, and visited with a couple of shamans. What I wanted most of all was vulnerability, so I would be willing to love again. I came back, and within days, I met Ron Carter. We're now married, and we just got back from Sedona again. So sometimes just the spiritual quest can really help.
Beautifully said. Anyone else wishes to say anything that
Dr.
they are
Anand,
so grateful for? Yes, go ahead.
for me, I think I've always felt I was happy, but having some health issues and coming out well on the other side of them has helped to teach me gratitude, and I think gratitude has helped me find real happiness, and so it has also made me aware that I wasn't as happy previously as I had thought that I was, but I do really feel like I am very happy today. And you've helped me a lot through that process, and I appreciate that enormously. And it's good to see your dad again.
So nice that you could join us again. Any
Yes.
other?
I think Layu is there. Layu, what is your comment, Laya? You
I'm
can
sorry?
unmute and say, Laya. Okay. Kavya, any comment
wanted
for
to
that
say
one, your happiness?
What is wrong with my internet?
Kavya.
Laya has come on now. You want to say what you're most grateful for, Laya? I think you're the youngest member in our group. That's why we are asking you to talk.
There's a lot of different things that I'm grateful for, but right now during COVID, I think it's the fact that I can have peace of mind when others don't. And I'm just really grateful that right now COVID's hopefully going to start slowing down.
Nancy Browning, did you have something to say? Again, your internet's not great, so why don't you give it a try?
I'll try it, but I was also starting to write it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, sometimes you end up being grateful for something that at the time you actually thought was horrible. And someone, horrible reference, and therefore I get a job in my, really was mad for a really long time. And then over time, I ended up switching to something completely different. And it was the perfect job for me. And I ended up being at a historically Black university and getting to teach cultural diversity, which if you would have told me I could have done that when I left school in the 70s, which wasn't an option at that time. And so I just think sometimes it's going back to what your dad said, you need to be thankful for everything, even things that you don't want to be thankful for.
Beautifully said. Let me share a few more quick slides and then we'll come back to more discussions if there is time. So the human condition, can you see the full slide, Jennifer?
Yes, yep, looks good.
Till now, I'm sure most of us attribute our life or our success or everything towards focusing, concentrating, sustaining our effort. We know intelligence plays a big role in our achievements. We set clear goals, perseverance, being more productive, competing. And then all of this has to do with doing. So this is how the human condition is viewed at the surface level. When we go deeper, the same situation can be viewed through this heart consciousness or a subconscious level, but instead of concentration, what I'm requesting you to connect with is natural attentiveness. What I mean by that is, when you like something, you will be drawn to it. You don't have to pay attention. Then attention will be part of who you are. Same thing, instead of sustained effort, even better, maybe if we can pursue things that are natural and effortless for us. More important than intelligence is being connected deeper and having passion towards it. Experimenting, serendipity, connecting with our own creativity may make us so much more effective than just focusing on productivity. And more than competing, if we cooperate, our final product may be so much more beneficial for everybody. So this is the concept of being rather than doing, and this increases happiness. And this comes with a natural higher level of inner intensity. And this is not related to thoughts. So our intelligence, thoughts, our beliefs, all of that is more with the mind consciousness. But at a deeper level, when we start connecting, I believe we can see more meaningful, life enriching day-to-day experiences. So this is some of the work that was already published. I'm glad to share the links. Self-inquiry, we talked about the question, who am I? I want you to ask that question to yourself from the seat of gratitude. So start grateful for something today and then ask the question, who am I? Because otherwise, even this question becomes a chore. And once you feel this gratitude, that directly relieves so much of the stress and gives you optimism to manage everyday challenges. And from this gratitude, the next invitation is to engage not only your mind, but also your body by being hungry. Again, this being hungry concept is fasting, which we request our cardiac patients to do once a week for up to 24 hours, and most days at night, at least 14 hours going without food. And this, I believe, is a very simple tool with zero effort at zero time and cost commitment. We can engage mind-body practice. Again, we are not selling anything. So I invite you to smile 20 times an hour, feel that gratitude, and connect with being actually hungry. Hunger, we think, is for the most part something is unhealthy or something that needs to be fixed one way or the other. But I'm saying being hungry does not need fixing. It is okay to be hungry, to stay hungry for a few hours for most people. Unless you have health issues, please check with your doctor. But otherwise, being hungry is okay unless you have the same things like diabetes or liver failure or eating disorders. For the most part, most people can connect with this meaningfully. And the way we request people to connect is through drinking more water, connecting with gratitude, and smiling 20 times. That's all. No other magic to connect with hunger. That itself is empowering, induces flow phenomenon, deepens mind-body connection, reduces all the risk factors, diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, improves heart health, brain health, stroke risk goes down, cancer risk goes down, and this positive feedback can be a part of our rest of our lives. So everything we learn, including what we learned today, is knowledge. It grows with time, accumulates over generations, leads to our success, learning skills and habits. But this self-inquiry, you cannot do it with me here because I am the distraction. So you'll have to do it after the session is over today, but I invite you to try it every day until we meet again next Monday, because this self-inquiry is about unlearning. It is not transferable. I cannot give it to my daughter who is attending this meeting. She has to start every day at 0, just like I have to start tomorrow morning at 0. Nobody can accumulate anything in self-inquiry because there is nothing to accumulate. And this is the real source for our happiness and fulfillment in life. And this gives us so much resilience, natural resilience to cope with whatever life may throw at us. So that is self-inquiry. I'm going to skip that. So consciousness, the way I understand Anand Chokkalingam, cardiologist in Columbia, Missouri, is only the surface. It is only 10%. It comes out of my logical mind and willpower and IQ, whatever you want to call, is everything I know about myself, my family, my circumstances is in the surface. But 90% of me is below the surface. This is very powerful, the surface mind. It can process 40 bits of new information within a second. It's for every mind, not just Anand's mind. Every mind is so powerful. But the subconscious is good to harness because it is even more powerful. Not 10 times, 100 times, but several thousand-fold. It is million time bits of information is already being processed at the subconscious level per second. All of that need not be at the conscious level, but that is the source for our real, deeper experience of life itself. And that resides below the surface. All that we understand about eating healthy, all these things is there. But at the subconscious level, to harness it, there is a barrier. And below that is our emotions, our values, our habits. But the reason we are doing this series is to connect directly with the experience, not the thought, but the experience of gratitude. And there you will find comes much more creativity, and life itself becomes so much more vivid and real to you. So this core of consciousness, the way we connect is with the HEART, the heart mnemonic for being humble. Every day, whatever you may achieve, stay humble. Connect honestly with others and their challenges and their dreams and worries. Connect with your own dreams and goals and aspirations every day. Be true to your own dreams. And reciprocation is just giving the others the benefit of doubt. If you by mistake step on somebody's toe, you expect them to forgive you. Same way, give that choice and that benefit to others also. Just doing these 4 things will develop the most important thing in life, which is trust. And this is what our patients have done in the last 6 years and found for themselves through these simple mind-body methods that they are able to gain more trust with their families, with their communities, with their job, and most importantly, with themselves to relate with life better, and their heart health, blood pressure control, and all these other medical issues become so much easier to cope with and get better from. The last question is, academic research with governmental funding to develop consciousness, I'm saying started 5,000 years ago. Who says yes to this? People can, somebody is saying yes. So I'm saying 5,000 years ago, we had universities teaching us with governmental funding this concept of elevating consciousness. If people are saying yes, they have to say which university taught this. Unmute yourself and tell us. Anybody who said yes can tell us which university taught this 5,000 years ago? I showed you the pyramids. Egyptians did not talk about higher consciousness. The pharaoh said they were the higher consciousness. And they built the boats inside the pyramids. Anybody wants to unmute yourself?
I did not say yes, but I'm not sure. There's this Nalanda University that
Yes.
spread Buddhism. I don't think it was 5,000 years ago, maybe less than that. So that's the one that comes to my mind.
Yes, Nalanda is recognized worldwide. And it is, I would think, very similar to the Western system of collecting books and teaching the sciences of art and math and other things. But to talk about consciousness itself, let me go back to the slide set I have. I think we have only a few more minutes. Unless anybody else has anything you want to say here. Tamil people, you have to tell us. Does your culture, or should I say our culture, give anything about consciousness? So this is what higher consciousness is. In the language, Tamil is made up of 256 alphabets. They are divided into Uyirezhuthukal and Meyyezhuthukal. So when the body and the mind connect, then life comes. So this has been the essence of the Tamil language itself. There are only 12 Uyirezhuthukal and 18 Meyyezhuthukal. When you multiply 12 and 18, you get 256. So I think this is such a profound thing that has been in the oldest language known to mankind. We have literature dating back 5,000-10,000 years. And this is the message they had built into the language's structure itself. And I will leave you today with this Tirukkural. This was written about 2,000 years ago. And Thiruvalluvar says, Nandri marappadu nandrandru, nandralladu andre marappadu nandru. Be grateful for the good and learn the capacity to instantly forget all that is bad. So he is talking about the moment. How to live in the moment, to have the energy in the moment, to forgive, forget, and move on with energy. If somebody was to live according to this Tirukkural, look at his lifespan, how much positive energy he would have gained. He has, at the end of 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever number of years he has lived, he has nothing that he is feeling bad about. So this is something that was suggested out of 1,330 small 7-word poems that Thiruvalluvar wrote. This is one of them. So we are not going to go into the depth of the Tamil language or the consciousness concepts, but just scratching the surface. Every week we will do this to see what the language has left us. I don't take pride that this is my language. I take pride that as human communities, this was left for everybody. So he does not talk about the word Tamil or any Indian god in the entire 1,330 poems that he wrote. And the intention was, this is not about any language or any culture or any religion. He wants all humans to rise to the highest level of awareness of life itself. So it's very, very basic. There is nothing beyond and nothing more or nothing less than our own consciousness. And for this is considered the last Sangam. There were 3 Sangams. The first one was about 10,000 years old, they say. The second one was 5,000 years ago. And this is the last Sangam, which is about 2,000 years ago. So the first and second Sangam, we don't have much literature left out because of just time and there were no printing presses. But the second Sangam is Tolkappiyam. I'm going to touch about that next Monday. But the last Sangam, this is the most recent evidence from 2,000 years ago that says some profound things like this. And another Kural that Thiruvalluvar said was the basis for Mahatma Gandhi to use non-violence as a way to inspire the Indian people towards freedom. So Tirukkural has left, I wouldn't say it has left, it continues to inspire us and guide us in our movement. I just want these very simple thoughts to help us move forward everywhere in our world. So this is a framework that we published this year, the mind consciousness that looks at me, my power problems, my challenges. But this heart consciousness is being a little more selfless, connecting with this heart we talked about and finding that inside me, I can include so many more people in my family. It's so easy. My daughter, I would definitely look out if she got lunch today or dinner today. But can we expand it to a little more bigger circle? Can I look at my friends' children too? And then we can expand it to the entire world. It's not a bigger step beyond that. So that is what this higher consciousness through self-inquiry, how it can not only help us find happiness, find those 20 smiles every hour, but also directly impact our physical health, our blood pressure, our cholesterol, our diabetes. All these things improve, our mental health improves. This is what our patients are saying in the last 5-6 years. So that is why I bring this directly as a consciousness concept. So this is the last slide I have for today. So this self-inquiry we talk about, that itself is higher consciousness. The acceptance that looking within, I will become happier. That is what we want to start with and move towards deeper meaning. And this subtle movement every day can make us more confident and optimistic and self-resilient. And this directly impacts what we eat, how much we exercise. All this won't be a chore. My cardiac patients, I don't prescribe 30 minutes of exercise. They find it is so fun to walk or swim or play sports, so they do it on their own. So that is what happens once we start the self-inquiry. This heart health is again one more byproduct of higher consciousness. Losing weight, we have people losing 10, 15%. Gastric bypass surgery is 15% weight loss. Our patients have lost 20, 25, 30% weight within a year or two by just self-inquiry. So that is the power of this program. And the power is not in Anand or in whatever slides I show, but in this trust that you build for yourself, within yourself, to smile and ask these simple questions, who am I, to yourself until we meet next Monday. So I'm going to stop here with this last thought. This is a picture from Columbia Rockbridge State Park. When the sun is shining, it is so hard to see the rest of the universe. But at night, when we are by ourselves, just step outside your home. Now it is summer, the clear sky, you will see the entire universe. So the sun is the source of our life. It gives all the energy for us, but still it blocks out the rest of the universe all through the day. The analogy here is our logical mind. We need it to understand ourselves, to relate to life, but consciousness is even more deeper and inner experience than our logic. So it is direct experience itself that we are talking about. And I invite you to find or start that journey within, and slowly in the next few weeks, but surely we will move towards more happiness. I'll stop here. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shakalingam. We have a couple comments in the chat saying, thank you so much for putting in so much effort to this class and the presentation. Excellent references, wonderful start to the semester. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. I'm happy to take a few more questions or whatever discussions people feel like doing. We can make it half a minute question, half a minute answer. That way we can address 20 different questions if people have anything that you would like to do for the next 1 week. Because I haven't told you specifically what to do for 1 week, but I gave you the outline of that little bit of smiling and gratitude. And one thing is, don't get out of the bed just because you woke up in the morning. That's not a good way to get up. Get out of the bed only when you feel that warmth in your heart, that gratitude for something very particular. Let it warm your heart enough, then you get out of the bed. So this, I think, is very simple way to start the day with gratitude. This COVID, every 20 years I've been asking my patients, what are you grateful for? They say 20 different things, but now they are saying, I'm grateful just because I'm alive. This COVID has made us more introspective. So I'll stop and I'll take any questions.
If anybody has any last minute questions. Oh.
Yeah, Doc, sorry, go ahead.
Dr.
Chokalingam,
please share.
Dr. Chokalingam, you go ahead, I'll wait. I don't have a question, I have only a comment to make.
Comments
why
also,
don't you
we'll
make
keep it
that
very,
comment?
very brief
Sam,
because we have only
one
2 more
comment,
minutes.
All
Sam.
right, okay.
Another
okay.
2-3 minutes we have. So we'll keep it to very quick comments because Jennifer may not leave us on for too much longer.
Yeah. All right, Anand, thank you very much for what you've done for us today. I just want to say one thing. In most things in life, the more you give, the more you get. I think that includes happiness. If you're able to give happiness to others, I think that will in turn give you a lot of happiness yourself.
This is
Thank
the
you.
most blessed I feel. Thanks for Priya. Any other quick questions? Anybody? Suggestions? How we move forward in the next week?
Excellent presentation, Anna. Excellent talk. You are always inspiring. So I think in general, I'm a very happy person. Maybe it's the support and the upbringing I had from my parents and with my brother Anand Chokalingam. But yeah, it's so nice to see that all of us are so very well connected thanks to the Osher initiative. I'm really looking forward to the remaining weeks. I had given a talk to medical students today on research methodologies. There were about 200 young minds trying to learn about what research is, and that was a very gratifying experience. So I'm really thankful for that opportunity. And Anand, I really look forward to all the upcoming sessions. Thanks again.
Thanks for joining.
Anand, I'm really thankful to Peyton and Jennifer for this excellent platform. We all must give a very big hand for Anand. And two, in this present COVID isolation, glad we are all able to get united is the greatest thing. It gives us happiness. Only one small thing I want to tell you, because of my 50 years in cardiology experience, the moment you become unhappy, you are getting heart attack, cancer, accident, everything. The moment you are happy, you are going to be healthy. So you're going to choose between the two, happiness and unhappiness. The countries which is showing the lowest level of happiness, unfortunately, they become capital of heart attack, diabetes, stroke, everything. So higher the happiness, lesser the disease. No two opinion about it. So most important thing, the moment you are happy, please remember, endorphin is the hormone that is secreted enormously. That will keep you healthy for 100 years. The moment you are unhappy, cortisol is secreted, it will result in all diseases and it will kill you. So ultimately, if you want to live or you want to die, if you want to live, be happy. If you want to die, unhappy. You have to choose. Really happy, Anand, for the excellent way of presentation. Even though he was my student, now I have become his student to learn from Professor Chokalingam. I really appreciate.
Thank you so much, Professor Chokalingam, for those comments and, for your pearls, Anand may be telling us, a lot of he has a lot of wisdom and he imparts it, but, you have a lot of even more wisdom, I would say, and the pearls that you give us. Thank you. So what is the COVID situation in India now? Is it under control?
Yes, it's becoming better.
Okay.
So please remember, COVID is ready to leave us within 3 days because it cannot survive independently more than 3 days. We people are get united to keep it alive. For it to alive, we are all dying. So unitedly joined together, we can eradicate it. People are not bothered to send it off. It all decides. At the moment you are happy, please remember, the immunity will increase. You can resist COVID too. Please remember.
Yes, yes. Good,
Thank
good
you,
point.
Anand.
Very good point. Thank you, Professor Chokalingam. Thank you.
I wanted to say if everyone will join us right at 10 a.m. next week, I will show you again how to access the course documents page. I think we will put the Zoom link just openly on that course documents page because so many of the people, I think all the Osher members are premium members who are taking this class. And so that we'll just make it open. Does that make sense? You can Google Osher, Missouri, and find the summer pages, and there's a course documents page there. I won't show you again now, but I will start the next class. If you can zoom in right at 10 a.m. Next week, I will show you how to access the links again.
Can we request people by emailing them to start filling out that 4 questionnaires now and again at the end of the 4 weeks?
Yeah, I will put that on the course documents page. And I think that, I think Walker's on right now. We can certainly send an email to this group for the people who have registered to talk about it.
Just to see where we score with optimism, with happiness, with anxiety. And then at the end of these 4 weeks, we can again relook and see if we've made any difference to ourselves. So this is like a mirror into our mind. Like
yeah, and Walker just made a good point. I'm not talking about the Zoom link for accessing the course. I meant the Zoom recording link. So you can access the recordings, just the video. So if you want to go back and look at this presentation again, we will put the link to the Zoom recording on the course documents page. Please don't share this Zoom invitation link with others. We don't want, if you've registered for the class, you can enter, if that makes sense. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. It is 11:35. I think Dr. Chakalingam is open to taking additional questions or comments if anyone has any. You're welcome, you're welcome. All right, well, again, just Google Osher, Missouri to find our summer pages. And if you poke around, you should be able to find the right stuff. And I'm just talking about the course documents page for summer semester. Dr. Chakalingam, thank you so much. Peyton, thank you so much. I think next week I'll be on the back burner and Peyton will be our main Osher person. So she'll be jumping in. Anything else you want to cover, Dr. Chakalingam?
Yeah, it was excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed. If people want to have any quick questions, I don't know how much more time Jennifer has.
Yeah, we can keep it open for another 4 or 5 minutes. Sure.
Very brief questions about what specific steps. I did not make it like a prescription of this is what you need to do the inner journey with. So I sort of gave you some ideas for you to play around in your mind so that it will be more like a self-exploration. But if you want any particular tips about anything at all, or if someone wants to share, I've heard Anand talk about these things in the last few years, and it's worked for me to find more happiness. If somebody can inspire our group, that's more welcome to. Anything fine in the next few minutes. Just keep it very brief.
We have a question in the chat. Someone asked, is it a contradiction of sort India has great wisdom and yet is unhappy?
It is. That is the reality. India has been under foreign rule for several hundreds of years. So that made it very poor. And now there is so much political challenges, this and that. So we don't want to get into too much details. But still, it is up to us to connect deeper, find it within ourselves to not find the energy to elevate our mind. And thereby, once we are happier, our country is going to be happier. Our country is nothing separate from us. We are all part of the same thing. But it can be done. It needs to be done right away.
Any other questions for Dr. Chakalingam? Scott, are you trying to unmute yourself? I'm going to ask to unmute you.
Yeah, 2 questions. One comment to Peyton. Yes, India has a lot of wisdom, literature on wisdom, but not very many people read it. So that is a problem that we're having. And the question to you, Jennifer, do I use the same Zoom ID for the next meet too, or am I to get another one?
Yes, yes, it's the same link every week. I did put as the top note, don't lose this or save this. It is the same link all 4 weeks for the session. Thank you for asking though. It's good to reiterate that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Scott, do you have something to say?
Jennifer, I want you to ask one question to Anand or me.
Oh, you want me to ask a question?
Yes, why don't you ask one question?
Well, let's let Scott, I think Scott's ready to say something. So let's let one for Scott, or are you?
not for Dr. Cioccolini, but for you, Jennifer. I'm delighted you're going to have access to the replays without having to ask you to email them directly. Is this going to be true for all the courses or just Dr. Cioccolini's course?
Just Dr. Cioccolingham's class.
Thank you.
There are lots of reasons why, which I'd be happy to get into another time. But yes, for the Friday value-added content, we usually have put those recording links on in the past, and we'll do that also for Dr. Cioccolingham's class.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We also have a question in the chat. Someone asked, I'm interested in what to look for in the night sky.
Analogy was just to tell us that we need the sun. The sun is everything, it gives us life. But in the daytime, we cannot see the universe. Entire universe is open to us only at night when the sun is not there. So the experience of life is deeper than our logical mind. That's what I want you to think about what I'm just saying. And again, I can only say with my logical mind and only to your logical mind, but the experience is deeper than all our thoughts and the verbal connotations that the thoughts carry. Like for instance, if the thing we talked about swimming or any relationship to any actual experience, like if I say my coffee is hot or it tastes great, what that words we use is different from the actual experience of that tasting coffee. So like that, our thoughts come in everything that we do, and it's been with us throughout our lives. So this is a very deep invitation for you to, you can experience the night sky the way you like it. Just smile at the night sky. Be grateful for being alive. That's all I'm asking you to do. There's nothing more in the night sky than what has been seen for thousands of years, but it is still there and we are able to still see it. So that is the beauty of life. But more than that, just recollect that the thoughts may be limiting our ability to experience life. That is what I want you to explore deeper.
We also have a question in the chat that could either be answered briefly now or possibly covered in the other sessions, which is how to reduce expectations.
Once
So
we
that's a
cut
kind
down on what we eat, everything goes down. So if we are a little more hungry, even
Dr. Cioccolingham, will you hold the microphone again, please?
How to reduce expectations. If we reduce expectations enough, we'll all be bliss. Happiness will become for granted, right? Once our expectations goes down. The simplest way to do that is by cutting down on what we eat, how much we eat, how often we eat. If we give 14 hours of no food and we are comfortable with being hungry, that's a deep mind-body experience in itself. If the body and the mind can still keep smiling 20 times an hour with little food, that is going to lessen your expectation about everything in life, not just the food. That's why we start there.
Another thing I like to add to that, Jennifer Anand's one, I'm Dr. Cioccolingham. It's not a mere night sky. It must be a clear night sky without any thunder, lightning like that. These are all negative feelings in our mind. We're going to have a clear mind as going to be what Anand said. We can appreciate more and more. When one person asked about why India knows about the wisdom 10,000 years ago, why you are all unhappy, actually I made a lot of thinking and research about that. Anand Spot answered that. We people know everything about that. Only thing is we don't follow that. We learn, Westerners and others, they learn from us, they're strictly following. So those who are creating, they're not able to follow themselves. That's the reason why they are prone for all the diseases. I think year after year, in India, America, Japan becomes global, its own village, you are all united. Unless everyone is happy, we can't be happy. It is what you are going to drive for, you will achieve that. So it becomes a balance of how we are going to be. And most of the things what you have learned from us, you are all following, Westerners and Japan and everyone. And we must make our people to follow that, then we will become very healthier. No two opinion about that. Thank you, Jennifer.
Somebody is asking, how about all the expectations others put on us? What to do with that? So that is our reality. So either we be upfront and say, this is what I feel I can comfortably contribute. It might be our family, it might be our employer, or we find more energy to do a little more towards what that expectation might be. A lot of times it is just communication that will help us. First, that communication is with us. How much we enjoy and how much we gain life out of that experience or effort or whatever it is. So once we know for sure what our goals and expectations towards our life is, then we can communicate it that much more effectively to everybody else around us.
Okay, with that, I think we should probably close this session. Dr. V. Chakalingam, I promise to ask a question next time. Thank you everyone so much for coming. It's always such a joy to host your sessions, Dr. Chakalingam, for obvious reasons. We're talking about happiness and joy. So thank you for kicking off our semester. Like I said, I will start off right at 10 o'clock next time, just showing you how to find things, but I did also put the link in the chat. That was a good idea from one of your students. So thank you, everyone. And we will also email in the next day or two, Dr. Chakalingam, the items that you wanted them to know about. Great. All right, everyone, thanks so much. We'll see you same place, same time, same Zoom link.
Stay safe, have fun.
Yes. Thank you, Peyton. Thank you, Walker. Thank you, Dr. Chakalingams, plural.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Goodbye, everybody. Bye.